is Breakfast with Stephen and Ellie.
Time to go through the papers now, and joining us this morning is author and broadcaster Nikki Hodgson and Deputy Editor of Conservative Home, Henry Hill. Good morning to you both. Henry, let's start with you, shall we? The Telegraph leadership battle, and Hunt says we must avoid spooking the markets.
Yeah, so this is going to be the first big challenge facing the new Prime Minister, whoever it is. The medium-term fiscal statement was brought forward by Kwasi Kwarteng after the disastrous response to the mini-budget, and Jeremy Hunt, as Chancellor, is currently set to deliver it on the 31st. Now,
it's hilarious, though, isn't it? In the sense that it was brought, it was brought forward by Kwasi Kwarteng.
Yeah.
Jeremy Hunt's now meant to be doing it. There could be actually a new Prime Minister and a new Chancellor by the time we actually get to it.
Yes, precisely, and this is exactly what the story's about. Because the
is it? Oh, right. Oh, sorry. All right, there you go.
It's early, you can be forgiven.
Sorry.
Well,
sorry, didn't mean to drive by you there. Basically,
read the papers,
the argument is from Jeremy Hunt that the markets have calmed down a little bit after the mini budget, but they did so because they basically think Jeremy Hunt's going to do an all right job, and he's currently working on this plan, which is going to be quite painful for the Tories because it will involve lots of tax rises and spending cuts, or both. But obviously the new Prime Minister, the number one appointment they want to make is a Chancellor. That's your most important ally in government. And so there's talk of, will the new Prime Minister bring in a new Chancellor 2 days before this thing needs to be delivered? And so what Jeremy Hunt is saying is look, maybe it's not quite a plea for his job, although it probably is, but he's probably saying even if you do change it, stick to the plan, right? Because otherwise, if at 2 days' notice the new Chancellor decides to do a Kwarteng and just be like, we're going to do something else now, the markets are going to respond, and that could be extremely painful.
Oh, I wish I'd thought of that. There you go. Sorry. It's fair fight. I haven't got time to read the papers. I've been presenting a television show.
Oh, well, Henry, that is what you're here for.
That's what we're
Thanks
here for.
for explaining. Yes. But it is a little bit of a plea for his job, isn't it? Because, I guess with the rise of Boris Johnson, he might be feeling a little bit threatened, because if anyone's going to push him out of a job, it would be Boris Johnson.
Well, we're talking about this. I still don't know if Boris as a credible, well, definitely not as a credible leader, but as a realistic contender is going to materialise. We really have to wait and see, I think. When are we going to find out? Tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know.
I reckon we might all just find out by Monday.
Yeah.
Monday evening, yeah.
I swear somebody will have to leave if he's got the 100 votes. I'd be very surprised if someone didn't bring it.
Oh, yeah.
Will he get the 100 votes, though? 66 ministers and MPs, I think it was, said that he wasn't fit to govern 6 weeks ago. Will he be able to turn that around?
Well, it depends how many backbenchers. It depends what he's been doing since he left office, actually. Has he been rallying around anyway in preparation for another comeback?
He's been on holiday. We know where he's been.
He's been on holiday.
He's been in the Caribbean.
He's been studying himself.
He's just been waiting for the summons,
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Look, can we have a look at this is in the Telegraph as well, Nikki, because I tell you, this always irritates me. It really irritates me that when there's this term Tory sleaze, which gets thrown about a lot every time there is someone who is accused. I'm not saying they've done it, but is accused of something. We don't talk about Labour sleaze. Now that an MP has been found guilty of misbehaving in his office, sort of thing, and he's quit as a result. But these things always tend to get, at the minute, a little bit brushed under the carpet.
Well, I do, and I think it's important to raise it, especially because I do a lot of Tory bashing on the show, so I thought it was only fair to highlight when somebody who's Labour does something terrible. So this basically is the story that Christian Matheson had made unwanted and unwelcome sexual advances towards a young female staffer, which include inappropriate and unwanted hugging, sexual remarks, touching, inviting her on a secret trip to Gibraltar and trying to kiss her when drunk. What's really important about these stories is, people think, oh, it's just, some man got it wrong, but if you're that person that is in receipt of these unwanted advances, it can ruin your confidence, it can ruin your career. Earlier in my career, I had an MP actually do exactly the same thing, and I really thought this MP was interested in me for my brain. Oh dear, more for me. But it really undermines your confidence in yourself, and I think thinking about the long-term effect of, we've got to really weed these people out. This cannot be acceptable behaviour anymore.
Well, I think particularly I think the issue with a lot of this is that it's not only your boss, it's your employer.
Yes.
How it all works in the Commons is slightly differently. So it is your boss, and so you're left in a trapped position.
Totally. The power dynamic means that you are totally unable to speak out or feel very, very much that you're going to spoil your career. You know, it's just, it's the person that's doing it never thinks about what it feels like on the other side. So, but I think it's very important that, you know, this has been dealt with. So hopefully it was an inquiry that was carried out by an independent expert panel. So, you know, if you are a Labour MP and you're up to no good, you're not necessarily going to get off the hook. I think that's the important message.
Yeah.
And this just needs to be stamped out in Westminster, doesn't it? I mean, regardless of any,
Absolutely,
you know, political party, it just needs to stop. We shouldn't be hearing about sexual misconduct in Westminster or anywhere, for that matter. Henry, should we talk about the housing crisis in the Times? Houses already selling for less as buyers are faltering. Tell us a bit more about this.
That's right. So normally when we talk about the housing crisis, we're talking about how expensive they are. And if you're a first-time buyer, that's obviously the main problem. But there is a separate housing crisis which is potentially coming down the track, especially it's going to trouble the government, although every story seems to trouble the government, which is that house prices are falling. Now, why are house prices falling? It's because potentially more people do. There's a slackening of demand, first of all, which means that the overall effect is quite low at the moment. But I've been looking around at houses, and you've seen quite substantial reductions. But the real danger is if interest rates keep going up, then mortgage rates are going to keep going up, and you could end up with a real housing crash. And what would drive that would be basically people being driven to sell because they couldn't afford their mortgages. Now, think about the kind of people who are going to be in that position. It's not people who bought 20 years ago for, you know, a reasonable amount of money and have paid off the bulk of their consideration. It's going to be people who've bought probably under the Conservatives. You know, even people who bought during Rishi Sunak's stamp duty holiday a few years ago. So if you're the Conservative government and you are viewed by these voters as having created an economic crash which loses the home that they leveraged themselves to the hilt under your policies to get you, it's going to mean misery for a lot of people and potentially a lot of trouble for the government. And even if it doesn't lead to lots of people losing their homes, everyone who, and it's about 100,000 people a month, everyone who locks in to a fixed rate mortgage on a higher rate is just poorer for 2 to 5 years, and that is a huge cost of living problem.
I tell you what, though, with all of this, and I know nobody's got a crystal ball, but people have overextended themselves. And I'm not saying it's your fault. Don't get me wrong, but you overextend yourself on the basis that money is cheap and interest rates are low, and yet we've known they've been artificially low, historically low. So it's like, why have they not got an advisor saying to them, actually, the mortgage rates could well double or triple on this, and so you need to, you know, not extend yourself quite as much, because this is where people fall into the trap, don't they? The mortgage, and they literally can't afford the mortgage.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also business, they're so-called zombie businesses, which only really are able to continue functioning because of zero interest rates. But I think the important thing to remember is, because we shouldn't blame people.
No.
People live in the economy that we're in, and if you're somebody who wants to buy your own home, you basically have no option but to over-leverage. You know, given the house, especially if you live in London or the Southeast, you have to 4.5 times income is probably the maximum loan to value. The relationship to the average house price is, I think, 9 times income. So even if you've got 2 earners, you're having to go right to the outer limit of what you can borrow, which is never a safe place to be, but it's where people have to go because we have chronically failed to build enough houses for the past 30 years.
Yeah. Dear me. It is horrific. It's a horrific situation.
I was talking to my hairdresser yesterday. I had my hair done.
Did you?
Looks like it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, everyone. And she was anyone want to comment?
A stand-up.
But she was saying that she, as you rightly so, Henry, she pushed herself to her absolute limit to get to her house. She had to move just outside London in order to afford it. And her mortgage, she's just had to remortgage now, £600 more a month. She's had to take on a second job alongside the hairdressing. She cannot keep a roof over her children's head.
And even if she doesn't lose her home, that's £600 a month that's not going into other bits of the economy. So that's going to have a knock-on effect on all of the businesses which she might have used to patronise. And again, if we're looking at a downturn, well, I don't want more money going to the banks if I can possibly help it, but that's where it's all going to go.
Isn't it funny? Trickle-down economics doesn't work when it's money coming down, but it works the other way around, doesn't it? When people have run out of money.
Oh yeah.
The trickle-up debt sort of thing. That always works. Let's just finish off, on this sort of theme. Cost of lunching in the sun, Nikki. Yeah. With Tesco's, every little helps.
Well, apart from it helps Tesco, really, not the people that are having lunch. Yeah, so the Tesco meal deal has had its second hike in a year. So it's raising the price of its meal deal for the second time, and the cost of a meal deal has gone from £3 to £3.50 for non-Club Card members. That was in February, and now there's going to be another 40p increase. So actually, to be fair, if you compare it to some of the other meal deals around, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, Boots, I mean, Boots is £3.99 and £4.99 in London, which seems really expensive to me. I haven't bought one for a while, but yeah. I mean, the point is, all these meal deals are going up, but they're going up at a disproportionate rate because of the cost of living crisis. And going up a 40p is not proportionate, really.
No.
So what are people doing? Having to make their own lunches, but who's got the time? It's hard work. if you work full time and you're getting up early and you're sorting your kids out, do you make your own packed lunch as well? It's a lot of work.
Well, no, maybe we need to get back to that, though.
Yeah.
I think people already are doing.
Make your sandwich the night before, shove it in the fridge.
And leftovers, that's the trick.
Leftovers.
Make
Well,
double.
it costs more, £1 more in London for a meal deal than anywhere else.
Well, again, just because.
Considering none of it's made in London or
Well,
whatever.
no, we're mugs in London and we just think, oh, it's just a London price. I don't know.
I imagine their defence would be the rental cost of the unit, but it seems ridiculous.
It does seem a bit ridiculous, that.
I'm sure Boots can cope.
Yes, and back to the old cheese sandwiches. Cheese and Marmite sandwiches the night before.
Is that your go-to?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no.
No.
Favourite sandwiches, let us know. GBNEWS at
Your favourite?
gbnews.uk.
Oh, beef and horseradish.
Fancy.
Oh,
Lovely, Nicky.
Mine's egg mayonnaise. Good old fashioned. I love an egg.
I'm with you on that one.
Oh.
Egg mayo's a good one. I would go chicken and bacon Caesar.
Oh.
Or a wrap. Ideally, if I had a choice.
Wrap?
Yeah, I would. And I actually bought one in London the
How
other day.
posh are you?
Well, I'm not posh, but let me tell you how much it was in London. Guess how much it was?
I thought you were from Essex.
I am. Well, I bought this. Well, just a white wrap, like a little fajita wrap.
Fajita
I
wrap?
know, but it was $4.95. It was $4.95 for my chicken and bacon wrap.
There we go. That's London for you.
Honestly.
Visiting you at every turn.
Make your sandwiches at home.
Make them at home, yeah.
It's a disgrace out
Better,
there.
cheaper, healthier.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Stephen's tip of the day. Thank you, you two. We'll catch up with you.
I'm glad we
later on.
covered all of that.
This morning, Nikki.
Oh, you are entertained. I think you're on a roll this
I'm
morning.
on a bit of a roll. I've had too much
Raspberry tea.
raspberry tea.